Hey everybody, and welcome this week to the Don't Escape trilogy. This Let's Play should be the Don't Escape 1, 2, and 3. We're doing the best endings for all of them, and only doing one ending for all of them, except for Don't Escape 3, in which I'm going to do a bad ending, and then finally the good ending. Of course, starting off, as usual, on the first one. Now, I'm sort of doing these as a prelude to doing Don't Escape 4, which I thought was pretty fun. Now, if maybe you're not familiar with this series, it's kind of like, so there was a wave that kind of swept the 2000s, 2010s of escape room games, and this is kind of, if that was the thesis, this is the antithesis to that. It's a game where you're trying not to escape, because imagine if this was an escape room, it would be easy as exiting just like that. Now while we're out here, like most point and click games, there's a lot of stuff to collect. So we want an axe, we can get some wood, we can also, I don't think we can actually click on anything and interact with much else other than the items we actually pick up. And in the introductory sequence, it's revealed that we're a werewolf. Now I believe that we're done doing stuff outside, so I'm just closing the door. I like to kind of rotate around fully in one direction before making a path back to it. I don't know, it's just cleaner to me. We're just chopping up this wooden table here for some planks and boards, just basically making use of all of the items that we've collected outside as we kind of circle around. We can interact with this coat to get a key, and then we can also interact with underneath of the bed to get another key. Then I'm going to go ahead and open up all of these drawers. Inside of that one, there's a tinder box. I don't believe there's anything else in the other ones. Again, continuing to rotate around. There's a note here that says, I imagine we wrote this, and we're like, oh, we're glad that we found this hut, but there's a full moon tonight, so, we're going to turn into a werewolf tonight. We got to make the most of our time. Now, if we click on this note, which is in the back, or was in the back, we get another note that gives us a hint. It says, a witch told us that we could weaken the beast, but we'd have to use a handful of hot dust, a crunchy herb, and something that grows in the earth yet is not a plant. So we've gotten quite a bit of that already, if not all of it. Now, I know that this room is kind of dark, so you throw the wood down, and then we throw the tinder box down, and it kind of lights things up a little bit, which is nice. While we're here, we also want to grab this flask, and then we have a board here down at the bottom. You might barely be able to see it to interact with it. And we got two things that we want to grab down here. I have no idea what this is on the left, but we have spices there, and we also have the piece of meat there. So you have to get out of this sequence, you have to reclose the board on the ground. And I believe that's it. So we're also going to go ahead and lock this door while we're able to, and push this cabinet in front of the door. That door has been properly secured. Now I'm going to use this key to unlock the chest, and inside of it is a hammer and nails. Now then, we want to close this. There's a very tiny little latch on this window that you want to close, and then we put the planks on it, and then we finish it up with the hammer and nails. Sorry, I guess we have to interact with the wood itself, and that window is properly done. Now finally, we just have to mix our potions. So the first thing, a plant that grows in the ground yet is not a plant. I guess that's a fungus. I'm not familiar with genus, species, all that shit with plants, but now we need a crunchy plant. Now you can choose between the root or the herb. Which one do you think would be crunchy? I'm going with herb, especially since it's dried. And I guess maybe well, they both make the same sound. I was going to say maybe that's a little bit of a hint to use the herb since it sounds so dry, but nope, no such luck. And then the hot thing is this spice. So we throw in the spice, and then finally we fish it all out with the flask. We use the flask to cover the piece of meat in it, and then we go back over to where we had seen the hook from before and throw it on there. Now everything has been locked and secured except for ourselves, so we now want to use two items on ourselves. We use the rope first, which we can see by a check mark, and if you get to this point and you because you can't move after you've been tied up, you can wiggle out of them. It takes just some effort. I think the same thing is true of the iron. Yeah. But yeah, so you can just go ahead and close those or lock yourself up into those, and then we're going to just progress the time, and that should allow us to win the first one. The first game is, of course, as you could probably guess, the shortest out of the 3 games, or shortest out of the 4 games. So our transformation was complete. We were hungry, craving for flesh. So first thing we did was bite the rope, and then we broke out of the chain, and then we ate the meat. But after eating it, we felt dizzy. So we know that the potion worked. If you mixed up the potion incorrectly, you would know at this point. So we start ramming the block door, and finally it took us a little bit to break the lock. And you'll notice our stamina is at 0, and finally we're free. And so now then, since we have exhausted all of our stamina, and since it's morning, we basically break free from the hut, and then we, run off into the woods, and we don't kill anybody. So that is the good ending. Nobody got hurt. So that is the first Dawn Escape. Now we can just exit out of there and move straight into the second Dawn Escape. I kind of like the opening picture of this a little bit. I can't really describe what about it looks so interesting or nostalgic to me. Maybe it just reminds me of what the point and click flash games kind of looked like. So each one of these worlds takes place in kind of like a radically different sort of environment. This one, for example, is a world in which zombies have kind of taken over the world, so to say. An outbreak broke out, so there's zombies everywhere, and it's been 2 weeks since then, and we were with our buddy Bill, but he got bit. So we stayed in this abandoned building for a little bit, and we've got a couple hours until nighttime, in which a huge horde will come to attack us. So that is that. I just am closing that to make sure there's nothing behind that door. It has been just a little bit since I played, but I know the general gist of it. There's our friend Bill. He's hurting. He can't do anything until we do something to fix his pain. We can grab that shovel there. There's a locked padlock on the ground, but we can't do anything about it right this second. Stepping outside, you can interact with this dumpster twice to get 2 different items. One is a key and one is a pair of wires. And as is the MO of this game, we can come in and lock this door and see that the key actually works on this door. But we don't need it locked right now. Now I like to go behind this house, and we can get the metal cutter and a 9mm bullet. Of course, you'll notice we don't have a 9mm right now. We go to exit. You can see as we begin to exit, we have a generator and some broken gate or fence. Now what I like to do, I like to go to the bottom right, go clockwise, and then go counterclockwise, and you'll see why in just a minute. So the first thing we pick up is an axe. There's another 9mm bullet right beside that post, and there's a couple more things that we can grab later, but not right this second. And inside we have a preacher, Father Bernard, I believe, but we can't interact with him yet. There's nothing else to see here. Now we're going to exit, and again we're going clockwise, so we'll get the 9mm pistol, in which I'm going to load the 2 rounds into it, and I'm pretty sure there's nothing else to interact with here. I know that it looks like there's a lot of junk, but it's mostly just a crash. For the second being, we're not going to interact with anything. Now, here's Jeremy, and he is willing to help us, but he has lost his glasses, so we have to find that. You'll also notice a little drawing here on the wall. It says "There is hope," and I don't know if this is meant to be like a hint as to how you're supposed to do, this mission or this game, but it's pertinent for later. It's part of it's not even part of a puzzle, but it's part of something. So now we've got a zombie down here. It's pretty docile as long as it can't reach us, or maybe it just doesn't know we're here. But we have to get that guy's glasses. So Jeremy's glasses. So we're gonna have to shoot. Now it warns you, if you shoot, you'll make a hell of a lot of noise. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that. Now that does not give you consequences right now. It only gives you consequences once night actually falls. We give the survivor his glasses. Now the other thing we need a shopping cart, but it's been locked into place with a latch. So we are now we got this shopping cart, and we're going to use the shopping cart on the reel of wire fence in the background there. And now we have wire fence, and Jeremy is also in our inventory to help us out. So that's nice. Continuing on in clockwise motion, we're going to get this 9mm bullet loaded into my gun. And I'm just looking to make sure I'm not missing anything. We have a gas canister, but the gas pumps don't work, so we can't do anything with those. We can get a gold coin. I'm not sure if that actually has any use, but I do like to collect it. We can break into this door that's in the back because I don't believe that there's a key for it, so we have to use the axe on it. Inside, again, we got another 9mm bullet and a rubber hose. Gonna load the 9mm bullet and also load the batteries into the camera, and that I think I might have missed the camera. Nope, it's got batteries, so we are good. Now we're gonna go ahead and make a move to exit and then go counterclockwise. I guess it doesn't really matter because we don't really need to go to the bottom left one. Yeah, we do actually, now that I'm thinking about it. We'll take this camera, take a little snapshot of this drawing I described earlier, and then I believe that's all. I do like to poke my head in just to make sure, and there is nothing. Okay, that's just the wheels of the shopping cart. Don't want to miss anything while I'm out and about for sure. We'll go ahead and use this rubber hose on this police car, which says that the fuel tank is still intact. Then following that, we will get fuel for our gas can. Then we head down to the church, in which we can use our shopping cart to pick up cement. And one more thing, you don't want to forget it, is these bricks. Then we can go inside and talk to the father. We want to give him that photo of that drawing that was on the inside of the gas station, and it restores his faith to live. So he will come with us now. I believe that's all that we have to do here. Now, what I want to do real quick is head back to the crash site because we do have one more thing to get real quick. And that's we want to use the axe on the woods, and it will give us some wood. Now, the reason you want to collect these guys before you chop this wood up, normally this would take 2 hours. But since we have Jeremy and Father Bernard, they both save us 45 minutes, only making it take 30 minutes. So we go ahead and proceed. 30 minutes was an okay time investment. Heading back to the base now. I like to kind of start from the inside and work my way out, but you can do most of this in just about any order that you please. So this guy was in pain earlier. We'll give him the painkillers, and he thanks us. He is still infected, though, he mentions. He doesn't know how long he can hold it together. He would like some booze, too, and he can help us with work. So that is fortunate, because we're going to need him to do some work before he dies, unfortunately. So we're going to take this water, we mix it in with this sand, and then we wrap it all together nicely with cement. And then we have to use the shovel, I do believe, to mix it all together. No way to shorten this, as it only takes 10 minutes. Then we go to take the bricks and use the bricks in the mortar on this window. And again, this would have taken 2 hours and 50 minutes, but Jeremy saves us an hour, Father Bernard saves us an hour, and Bill will save us 15 minutes. So instead, it only took us 35 minutes. Again, stepping outside, I'll go ahead and use the shovel as we can dig a hole here. It's going to take us an hour and a half. I'm not going to go over every little iota of time that we get saved. So let's see how much time we have left. 3 hours, 45 minutes. That's no problem at all. We go ahead and throw down the pointy sticks. This will only take 45 minutes. And we continue on out. Now we use the wire fence on the regular fence. Now this takes an hour and 45 minutes. How much time we got left? Just about an hour. Next and finally, we pour in the gas can into this generator. I don't want to turn it on just yet. We use the wires to hook the fence to the generator. And that is good. So we've got a fence running the length. We've got a hole here with pointy sticks in it. We also make sure, or want to make sure, that we lock this door. And then finally, we go over to Bill, who wants some alcohol. And once we give it to him, he passes out. And then what I like to do, you do not have to do this. He just gets added to the zombie count if you don't do this. But shooting adds 5 zombies, so you're at net plus 4 zombies by doing this. You can chop him to death. I don't really like to do that. I'm just going to use a bullet. There's no reason not to. I've done the math beforehand. We can afford to use a bullet on Bill. I like to put him out of his misery, quick and easy. We'll use the metal cutter on the padlock and open this. And then you want to be sure, if you come down here, that you also close the hatch. And then finally, we're good to go ahead and progress through the rest of the day. Now, that's not optimal, and there also is other things that you can do to progress through the day, like throwing your survivors down in the pit instead of the sticks, but I don't really like to do that. I like a good ending. So my reckless shooting, in addition to the 50 undead that were going to arrive anyway, caused 10 more to show up. The fence, which was our first line of defense, fried 5 corpses, which is good. After the generator went out, the fence stopped another 15 of them, so we've got 40 left. Then 20 of them fell into the hole, so there's about half of them. And then we bricked up the window, which caused 10 of the zombies to not be able to break in. Now we've only got 10 left. The locked door held off 10 meat-craving freaks, and that was that. I don't know what I did different than the last time that I played, because I remember the last time I ended up with 5 zombies inside, and they just left. But hey, whatever. As long as it wants to work, I don't care. So that was the ending. Again, this one, super anticlimactic, but it is pretty fun. This one is actually referenced, this world's referenced in Don't Escape 4, I believe. A couple of these worlds are, which is kind of cool. Now finally, we're moving on to Don't Escape 3, which is the longest one. Don't Escape 3 is pretty fun. It takes place in space, and you have to do a little bit more thinking than you normally do. So we wake up with a headache, and we're inside of, what kind of looks like an airlock a little bit. So we were the pilot of this UEFS Horizon, and we don't know how we got here, but there is an alarm going off. So whenever we start this game, we actually have a counter that starts running 32, and we have to figure out how to get out of here. Pretty simple. We just abort the ejection, restore safety protocols, and then we abort the ejection, and that's that. So that gives us more time, as much time as we need now. We re-interact with this, and we do open interior door. You do not want to do initiate ejection procedure. You'll lose. So now then, we can go and visit the rest of the ship. First thing that you pick up here is this a tablet, and it's made by Sidereal Plexus Corp. They're also referenced in a lot of these games. This is the first one I actually think that they're referenced in, but anyway, so this ship found a derelict ship. We tore it apart, but we found some stuff on the inside of it, a couple crystals and stuff. And our Dr. Grodberg is going to be performing some tests in there on it. So that's the first log. We want to check the ship's status. You can see we have 1 hour of air left. And we can also take a look at the map. There's a lot of places to explore, but I'll kind of be explaining the important ones as we walk through them. So you don't have to worry about that map. I also don't like to look at it very much because it gives me a little bit of a headache. But let's step into the lab first and see what there is to pick up. This is log 4. I'll read that in just a minute. I want to get the logs in order first so nobody gets confused. We can grab antibiotics from this first aid kit on the right. There's a locked door, a chemical analyzer, centrifugal mixer. We don't need either of those. There's a note which gives us some chemical mixes. These don't really mean a lot to us right now, so I'm not going to bother looking into them right this second. We also have the empty flask, and we have another door that we can't open on the left. So now then, if we open this fuse panel or fuse box, one of the fuses is missing. Let's head to the right. We have an escape pod that needs an access card, and then we have a dead body here. They have a broken mask and a plasma torch and a tank that's empty, but we can take the plasma torch itself, which we'll need. We can go into the quarters here, but I don't think that there's anything to actually see just yet, because we obviously can't see. Let's continue on into the bridge. There's a fuse, that'll help us. There's a navigation console, which does nothing. A comms console, which gives us log 3, which again, I don't want to mess with just right this second. We get log 2 from here. So this is our mission orders. Basically, there was a mining ship that went missing for years, and now we're investigating it. That's the meat and the potatoes of log entry 2. Now, log entry 3 is a message that we have received from the UEFS Warsaw. It's another ship that's picked up our distress beacon. just basically telling us to wait until they can arrive. And then on number 4, there's some initial tests by this Dr. Grodberg, where basically what they say is this crystal that we had found has radiation, or I'm sorry, it has no radiation, but it is highly energetic, and it has an acoustic vibration to it. So, you know, the accentuation and the pitch of the music helped a little bit there. There's nothing else that we can interact with until we have the captain's access card, so there's no reason to continue to mess about in there. And since we got that new fuse, you can probably guess where we're moving to next. We plug it in. I don't think I can even shut that. Now, there was one room, if you'll remember, that was very dark that I said we weren't going to enter, but now it's only kind of dark. I take the knife, and I'm going to also, I interact with this. I don't know if there's a reason to, but I just grab one of everything. We get a standard meal ration. We also grab the dessert. And then finally we can grab the alcohol. Alcohol is the only one that I know that's very important. We can step into this left room, break this mirror. That doesn't do anything, but I think it's cool that you can interact with it. We open up this left door and get detergent, which we do actually need. And then we'll go to the right here. There's a couple of important things to pick up. The first is a data disk. Then we also need the plant from the hydroponic garden. And finally, a plasma torch. So now then we're going to step out, because I don't like the blinking in that room. It gives me a little bit of a headache. I'm going to use the plasma torch and combine it with the fuel. Now we have a fueled up plasma torch, and I believe that, oh no, actually there is one more thing I need to do. We take the knife, because we can use it as a screwdriver, and open up this vent, which then gives us a key. Now the key, you may remember, you may not, there's only one locked sort of door that we can kind of mess with right now, and it is inside the lab. So we use the key on this locker, open it up, and we have protective glasses and acid. So I'm going to use the protective glasses on me, and then so now we have protective glasses on, and we're going to make our way to engineering. So we have this little panel here, which is a manual release, but we have to be able to get to it first. So the way we do that is we take a fueled plasma torch, and then we cut around the dotted lines. Now, you don't have to worry about fucking up and going outside the dotted lines, because if I move it left or if I move it right, it will just tell me, you know, like, well, we can't cut out there. And you don't even have to cut the whole thing. You just cut most of it, and then the rest will fade away. So that's pretty nice. So we'll go ahead and pull the manual lever. And now in here we have an access card, which we'll need. There's a ship's engineer, the emergency circuit fan. So we can't go to the left just yet. But let's say that I moved to, whoops, I did that the last time I played too, but there was a fucking little guy in there. But he disappears anyway. I just like to watch him disappear. I always get to move in between left and right, and he shows up. Now, we go through this door here. Trust me, that isn't the last we'll be seeing of him, so you don't have to be that upset if you were worried that we didn't see him. So escape pod. This is the one kind of like ending that is bad that I wanted to show. So your first inclination might be to be like, hey, I want to get the hell off the ship. Let's go ahead and use the escape pod. So with that, our contamination level on the ship was at 100%. And, you know, the crystal was trying to kill us evidently. And so we tried to beat a hasty retreat and get the hell off the ship. And we took an escape pod. So we get saved by the UEFS Warsaw, and since they bothered to save us and pick us up and they didn't know that anything was the matter, they got fully infected by us. So now then we can go back to where we were. That was, you know, just like the bad ending. So we got tools on that escape pod, which we can use to fix this fan. Now that will take us 20 minutes. There's no reason to make it, or no ability to make it any faster. We continue on forward, of course, not to negate it, but there's a dead body there, of course. And there's the ship's power core. We enter this room. Now, I believe there is a few things that we need to do in here. We can try to activate the main life support, but If we do that, it says unable to comply because the main ones have been destroyed. But we can activate the auxiliary life support, and it gives us 3 more hours on the ship, which is nice. There's also fire sprinkler maintenance, but we don't need to do that right just yet. This is where you can put concoctions into the fire sprinkler maintenance and make it spit out. Here's a workshop station. We got a workshop disc from the hydroponics garden earlier. I'm just going to plug that in, and it gives us some new blueprints. Now, we do have to print off a couple things by the end of the game, but I'm only going to print off the one that we need right now, which is this level 2 data pad upgrade chip. We take that upgrade chip and put it inside of our personal data pad. Now then, whenever we go to a room that has a body in it, like this one, we can open up the data pad and see a security camera of how they died. Now, we play it from the point of view of this spaceman, so we can break open this and fuck with the ventilation, and then we come over to this is coolant, and then we blow it up, and then the engineer who was in the back there was trying to escape. This also gives us a code that we need to unlock a locked room from earlier. The first number is 3, but we're going to continue on. This room, I don't think I need to do anything in here just this very second. Not the escape pod either. This room we can do another security camera hack. Again, we're playing as the same guy from earlier. We make a move to come in. We pick up the plasma torch container and smash this guy on the back of the head. Poor welder, like the Scriptwelder guy who made this game. So now the passcode's 31 something something. Only 2 more numbers to go. Now, again, you can probably guess there's a dead body in here. We can just use the security cam on him. This one I actually don't know if you can interact with very much. I think this one happens very automatic. Our character comes in. Actually, I think we have to interact to stab, and then he stands there, and then I think he comes in front of the camera. So 314, I don't know why I said 7, but 314. Now also, we need to collect blood from this guy. Now let's go back, because you may think that we could interact with the captain's body. I guess I could go ahead and show that. So we come in, and you've been doing like security cameras on bodies, but the security camera, there's none in here. There's no security feed. So we can exit, and we're headed back to the west side of the ship again. We're going to go inside the lab. So the analyzer from earlier, because we're going to have to make a concoction. You plug everything into the analyzer. There's the detergent, the bottle of alcohol, the antibiotics, the leaves, the bottle of acid, and the blood sample. So you can see the results of these analyses in the data pad. Here's the chemical analysis, and you can see each one of these has a value from top to bottom. So for example, let's do antibiotics. They have a value of 0 in the first slot, a value of 2 in the second slot, and the value of 1 in the third slot. So what's that mean? If you look at this paper here, you can see that this one has a value of 3 in the first slot, 2 in the second slot, and 4 in the third slot. Each one of these mixtures takes 3 to make a full mixture. So how would you go about solving this? Alright, so we need a 3-2-4 mixture. The way I do it is the first one's going to be 3. Now there's only one possible combination. Well, there's a limited amount of combinations for the top number being 3. And that number cannot include anything other than one material that has a 2, one material that has a 1, and one material that has a 0. So the first combination is always going to be something that has 0, 1, and 2 in the top number. So it can never be, for example, you'll never have in the first one a 0 and 0, or a 0, 1, 1, or a 0, 2, 2, or anything like that. It also couldn't be, well, I guess there's no like you couldn't do like 0, 0, 0 obviously either. So to answer what I was getting at, this is a 0, 2, 4, I believe. So it would take, like, for example, acid, blood cells, and then we have to find something that equals I'm sorry, I've since lost. I've talked about so many numbers. So it's a 3, 2, 4, right? Again, not to confuse you. I know that this shit gets confusing. 3, 2, 4. So acid plus blood cells gives us a 3. Then we have 1, 2. So we need something that has a 1 in the middle and a 2 on the back end. 3, 2, 4. Okay, so a 1 in the middle and a 2 on the back end. So if I'm not correct, or if I'm correct, it should be detergent, acid, and blood cells. Detergent, mix that, acid, and blood cells. Now you do have the capability to kind of fuck 1 or 2 of these mixtures up, but you cannot continue fucking these up because they do take 15 minutes a pop. Now we'll be able to tell if we did that successfully. It also consumes the items every time that you use them. That is not how you tell if you did it successfully. This is the crystal breaker upper, I guess you could call it, and I completely forgot to grab it. I'm getting way too ahead of myself. We take the flask and collect it. I'm doing all that math has got me so discombobulated. Yeah, it was real hard. Okay, so now we pour this into the fire sprinkler circuit, and then we use the fire sprinkler maintenance on the room that has crystals in it. Now if you'll remember, the isolation ward is right beside the lab, which we couldn't access earlier, and it poured 10 liters in that room. So now we can go back and see if that was correct. You'll notice that the crystals have dimmed down. So we enter in this room, which was completely filled with crystals before, now only has it like a handful of crystals. You can interact with some of these. There's nothing really to see here. There is a high-pitched whirring, which kind of gets on my nerves a bit. So I'm going to try my best not to stick around in here too long. There is something on the ground I just about missed, though. Another log. So basically, they're talking about how you can become consumed by this crystal. It like eats away at your body and causes you to do things with this frequency. Again, in another life where that weir wasn't so fucking annoying, I would talk about it a little bit more, but I do not want to stay in this room for too long. So our character comes in, or the character comes in, and we wrestle with this person and throw them back on the crystals, and that's how they died. So now we have 3146, and if you'll excuse me, I'm going to get the hell out of that room. 3146, which is the code to a room that is in the quarters. We go to the right again. It's this little pad here. 3146. Now in this next room we have kind of the equivalent of a very small jump scare. I don't even think I'll have to edit it out, but we have this room here, and we have a light switch we have to flick, and when we flick it we see the space suit. You'd be pretty scared, but turns out that there is nobody inside of it. Oh my goodness, how weird is that? So it has our name tag on it. Evidently, you know, something's going on. And then we cough up a little bit, and we have the a crystal growing inside of us. So basically this crystal used us to kill everybody. That's what the high-pitched whirring is about, is like whenever it takes control of your body. Then it tried to put us in the airlock, and it let go of control of us. Now there should be, yes, a captain's access card in here. We're going to go ahead and step out, go to the right, because now we can use the captain's access card on this console here, the captain's console. There is a last entry in the log that just basically tells you that you were the lieutenant and you killed the captain who he trusted you. So that is that. That is also the last log of the game, if I'm not mistaken. We can also try to do a self-destruct, but that system has been damaged. We have safety protocols here. We want to be sure to deactivate them. Now we're going to head to the left. Okay, I wanted to make sure there wasn't anything else that I needed to do right this very second. So this room, we can go ahead and get a space suit from in here, which we're going to want to do. We now have a space suit, equip it to us. Oh my. And now we can go ahead and close the interior door, do decompression, and open the exterior door. And then we go like we're going to exit. There's a little rubber hose here, or a hose of some kind, and then we jump out here. This is the wreckage that we had investigated earlier on in the story, and we have one crystal that we can grab out here. You want to be 100% sure to grab that crystal. Now then, we want to go ahead and close the exterior door, restore the pressure, and open the interior door, and then whenever we go out, it'll take that helmet off of us, which is nice. Now, One last little thing that we have to do in here is we have to find another mixture. This time you'll notice written, I guess vertically, warning 342, and it amplifies explosive materials. So we need to do a 342 combination. Now if I'm not mistaken, it should be the ones that we haven't used yet, which is plant cells, alcohol, and antibiotics. 342. Yep, that all adds up, which is kind of nice. Antibiotic, plant cells, and alcohol. Let's see, plant cells, antibiotics, and alcohol. That's just a little shorthand for you if you want a little, not even a cheat, but you know, you use all the materials on the first one, and then whatever materials you have left makes the second one. Now you want to go ahead and use your empty flask now, which I know doesn't show up very well here at the top. And collect this from the centrifugal mixer, and use it on the explosives. Now we have a strong explosives, but we need an igniter. Now, if you're very astute and not maybe paying attention to me, you may know where we can get the igniter from in here. So we need a portable igniter, and it's going to take 40 minutes to make it. We got just enough time. Again, like I said, you can fuck up a little bit, but you can't afford to fuck up too much. Now if we take the portable igniter, we can plug it into the explosives. Now we have a very powerful bomb. You got two different options of where you can put these. You could theoretically put the explosives here on these crystals, but that's not the best way to do it. You want to put it somewhere where it would make an even bigger explosion, and that would be on this ship's power core. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on the power core. Now we can use the data pad. We can also pick it up if you would like to move it. I just wanted to make sure that you could do that. We can also use the data pad now to detonate, and we've done absolutely everything that there is to do here. So that is what I'm going to do. Detonate the charges. So we hit yes, and then whenever we do, this is now the Warsaw, I believe. You'll see before the ship's contamination level was at 100%. And since we used the chemical recipe, it got rid of 20% of that, which is nice. And then we blew it up with a bomb, blowing up the whole ship. And that got rid of, I think, 50%. And then there was a crystal inside of us, which we hawked up. And we made sure that we had that with us in the explosives. And we threw away ourselves. So, you know, now there's a 0% contamination level. Since we were infected, we couldn't, unfortunately, take the escape pod. So now we can see the UEFS Warsaw came, and they found nothing but scrap metal floating around, which is really nice. That is the good ending. They'll never learn what really happened. So that is pretty cool. That, I believe, is all of the Don't Escapes. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know that this is going to end up being a shorter one, even though the fact that it was, 3 games. But I wanted to kind of do this as a prelude to, doing Don't Escape 4, which is way longer, and it's also way funner, I think. It's like basically like 6 or 7 of these games all in one. But we'll see that before too long. No promises on that release schedule. There's also a guy who did a really cool lore video on this I would recommend you check out. I guess the guy who makes these games, Scriptwelder, has like a overarching universe, and he also is working on a new game, that Scriptwelder. So yeah, maybe look him up. He's pretty cool. I guess I'll see you guys next week. Later.